Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Fatima Zahra binti Ismail and I'm from Group Invisible Horizon, and these are our group members. For task 1, we are going to make a review about modern Islamic architecture. We are going to discuss about first the history of Islamic architecture and then the definition of it. When does Islamic architecture begin to rise, and why Islamic architecture is very important to society? How can Islamic architecture be inspired to contemporary architecture on global scale, and what is the relation between Islamic architecture with Nakli and Nakli, and how can we contribute on modern Islamic architecture as physicists? But first of all, do you know what is modern Islamic architecture? Basically, Islamic architecture is consists of architectural styles of building associated with Islam. It encompasses both secular and religious styles from the earliest history of Islam to the present day. Without any further, let's watch the video.
What is modern Islamic architecture? In the past, the entire Muslim population was united under the authority of the caliphs. This leader had some pretty strong influences on the architectural style of the caliphate, and there is no single unified political power that tells Muslims of the world what their building should look like. Modern Islamic architecture is something that cannot be easily defined. It encompasses a range of design completed for and by Muslim communities that express both the cultural tradition of this group and their ever-changing role in the modern world. The result has been a wave of architecture that builds upon centuries of the rich artistic traditions while pushing the boundaries of the design. The Islamic modern architecture has a different style of building from the recent years. For instance, there are many stunning images of the modern Islamic cities, such as Dubai or Doha, where they have an amazing skyscrapers, museums, shopping malls, and all kinds of buildings rapidly growing. We can assume that they all are Islamic architecture can be misleading. However, Islam architecture has more to do with Islamic value and traditional than with the locations of the building or the religious background of the architecture. The most important structure in Islam architecture is the mosque. Fortresses have also been included because they were built by Islam to protect regions converted to Islam. Similarly, the private house has traditionally followed some precept from the Quran. So, ordinary houses and palaces are often considered Islam architecture. In the modern times, other types of building like tombs, dedicated museum, Islamic schools, and cultural center also can be considered as Islamic architecture because of the strong connections with the Islam. The example of modern Islamic building.
Next, we will move on to the characteristics of Islamic architecture. In Islam, mosques are the center of its architecture. Apart from being a place of worship, mosques are also used by Muslims for a lot of other purposes. In Malaysia, for example, the mosques are also used as a place to conduct studies and researches, as community centers, religious events, festivals, and gatherings. Hasanuddin in 1994 stated that the study of the components of mosques is important to determine the design of the mosque as a whole. He believes that the changes occurred in the components of mosques is an important indicator to understand today's Muslim society. According to Kuba in 1974, there is 8 components of mosques. The first component is the prayer hall. A prayer hall is an open area where Muslims can perform both individual and congregational prayers. To ensure maximum space usage of the prayer hall, three conditions are to be met. The first one is the prayer hall is best designed to be rectangular with the longest sides parallel to the Qibla. The second condition is there should be no obstruction or barrier in the prayer hall to ensure maximum usage of space, which in return will ensure the continuity of safs and utmost visibility of the Imam during prayers and khutbah. The last condition is the prayer hall should be able to be expanded in case of any increase in the number of worshippers, especially during Friday and Eid prayer. Next is the minaret. Minaret appears to look as a tower and is hoisted on the exterior building of mosques. In 1926, Creswell stated that minaret was used to ensure that azan is heard at maximum radius. But then, in 1991, Bloom challenged him and said that there's no proof or evidence saying that minaret was built for that purpose. In most countries, including Malaysia, minaret is an essential component to build mosques, but it usually serves as only a local landmark of mosque that is built in urban area. Next is the entrance. During medieval times, the entrance functions to conceal the interior of a mosque from the hustle and bustle of the exterior. It acts as a threshold and gives the feeling of being enclosed in the peace environment of the mosque. In contrast to the tall and magnificent entrance of mosques during medieval period, modern mosques in Malaysia have entrances that are more humbler and more open. The next component is the ablution pool. As ablution is crucial for Muslims to perform before performing a prayer, the ablution pool is also an important component of a mosque. It must be built in an open space where it can be seen and reached easily.
Qiblah wall, mimbar, and mihrab. Qiblah wall is essential to show the worshipper the direction of sujud. In Jami' mosque, mihrab is an arch opening in the middle of the Qiblah wall. Mimbar is a platform located in the right side of the mihrab where Imam stand on the present khutbah during Jum'ah prayer. Dika and kursi. Both dika and kursi were used only during medieval time. Dika and kursi are elevated platforms used to help all worshippers in the spacious prayer hall. Dika is used for mosque officers to repeat prayer movement and the response of the imam. Kursi is used for the mosque officer to recite Quran in between prayer time so that it can be heard clearer. Veranda. Veranda is a component of a mosque that comprises from cultural diversity. It is known as a roof outdoor area where people cool off before entering the mosque. It also serves as a transition area for a public area, which is the entrance to a private area, which is the prayer hall. Sun. The sun is a spacious roofless area surrounded by a wall extended to the outside part of the mosque. It is used to accommodate a large number of worshippers, especially during the Eid prayer.
Early Islamic architectures. It happened in the 7th and 8th centuries as Islam started to spread by Arab nomads. Then, modern Islamic architectures began to rise around 19th and 20th centuries. There are three examples of modern Islamic architectures, which is Faisal Mosque, Islamabad, Pakistan, that was built in 1987. The Faisal Mosque was designed by Turkish architect Vedat Dalokay. It consists of straight lines and angles. It also was painted in the white and has 4 minarets. Hassan II Mosque was designed by the French architect Michael Pincel. It has many traditional forms. The designer of this mosque is Syrian architect Youssef Abdelki. It has traditional arches, minarets, and domes.
Why does modern architecture are important in this society? It is because to make sure a building is well designed, have a good air circulation and good light utilization, also in choosing the right materials. In general, it provides the physical environment in which we live, while in more deeper stage, it provides an expression of human civilization at a fixed point in time. Then, it plays an important role in weakening of culture in identity in the face of globalization. It's just like another art major and considered as a symbol of society. How does Islamic architecture can inspire contemporary on global scale? General principles. Local material, technique, and geography. Islamic architecture promotes harmony between buildings, environment, people, and the creator, which completely different to contemporary building that seem awkwardly in the surrounding. For instance, the great mosques of Cordoba, Edin, and Shah Jahan, where they used the local materials and technique to convey the order and unity of Islamic architecture. Modernity. So we have already embraced the latest building technology yet without seeking to oppose historic building practices. The balances between modernity and tradition makes room for countless design opportunities in the contemporary world, so that would not lose the identity of place nor the essence of time. Authenticity. Authenticity refers to keeping up the local tradition without imitates the past, which relates to designing. This authenticity shines through contemporary buildings. For instance, Muslims built mosques in each place they inhabited, such as Dome of the Rock, where they used local colors, and Old Roman column in a way that conformed to Islamic tradition. Al-Jiwani, providing all living facilities within the house. Its architecture provided everything, the outdoor experience inside the house. For instance, the courtyard, which connected all the rooms, provided stunning views while connecting the inhabitants to the sky. Are two pioneers inspired by Islamic architecture. First, Ghazer Haider. He is modern Pakistani architect, pursues to design Islamic building in different countries that can adapt the cultural context. He built for Islamic society in North America, and the buildings are in cubic structure to complete the urban fabric of the city. Next, Hassan Fathi. He is Egyptian architect. Disagree with the copy-paste of Western standard style in the world. He argue with nobility of vernacular techniques in foreign models, the one that practice Islamic authenticity and modernity not only theoretically. How does this title can be related with Akli and Nakli? Mosque according to Islamic guideline, as the mosque is an example of Islamic architecture. In Holy Quran, mosque is several times mentioned as the place of worship to the Creator. As stated in Surah Al-Jumu'ah, when an architect of Islam wanted to build a mosque, the main thing that needs to be focused is they need to know the direction of the Qibla, as well as to understand the function of the mosque as a place of community assembled based on piety to God and Word of God. As mentioned earlier, architects need to know the Qibla first when they want to build the mosque. There is no mistaking among the fuqaha that facing the Kaabah is a legal requirement for prayer for those who are capable. From Surah Al-Baqarah. According to Hassan Mu'nis, in quoted from Muhammad Mukhtar Sheikh Ali, a mosque in Islam is the aspect of understandings and spirit. This is because according to understandings, the angle has been set by Prophet when he built the first mosque, and the intended spirit is the soul of Islam that emphasizes on the faith in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Then, according to Omar Sfahik, Islamic architecture has a close relationship with the spiritual as well as physical individual Muslims. He said, Islamic architecture came about to facilitate, foster and stimulate to ceaseless worship practices of its users. In the debate, he also stated that architecture as a framework in implementing the Islamic claim to serve as encouragement for Muslims in performing worship either through daily worship or devotion.
Okay, now let us continue with the contributions of physicists on modern Islamic architecture. Physics and architecture are related to each other. The physics deals with the actual mechanics and forces of the buildings, and all of those are obtained by using the specific formulas. Okay, this is the examples of the physics concept that apply in the architecture, which is load-bearing forces, center mass, and stress and strain as shown in the pictures. The contributions of physicists in architecture. Investigates the proper and suitable material use in the constructions. Make sure the sources does not contain any haram ingredients. And the last one is include the characteristics of Sharia compliant design.
First, we need more buildings that conceptualize the Islamic architecture so that the beauty of Islamic architecture are not only appreciated by Muslims but also by all the citizens in this world. Next, as Islamic physicists, we can apply physics to Islamic architecture by discovering the latest idea in the creation of architectural technology, whether from the materials or the construction techniques.